Hi everyone, thank you very much for joining me today. With me today is Vittorio Brini, the Director for Strategy and Business Development for the Digital Infrastructure Solutions Department of Gulf Business Machines. Vittorio, thank you very much for joining us today.
Hi Chris, thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. Let's start off with the first question that we've got here. Obviously, the COVID-19 pandemic is still very much an influence on the industry at the moment. How has the pandemic affected workforces in the region, and how have the challenges of remote workforces impacted on businesses?
So, Chris, obviously the topic of the day, a topic that has been discussed already so many times. The way I would like to answer this question maybe is not the way that maybe we already listened. I would like to verify, check with you the impact that we saw on the IT infrastructure of our system. Now, if I look at what we did in the past probably 10, 15 years, there were several ways in which we worked to reinforce, adapt, and make our IT infrastructure ready. There was the wave of the robustness. There was a period when we wanted to make reliable, and we worked on any kind of reliability on the data, on the network, on the physical infrastructure, on the facilities. Once we reached a decent level of robustness, we began to work on the scalability. Why? Because our users began to get accustomed to digital way to interact with us. So we had to make it scalable and ready to grow. Now, the reality is that what we learned out of the pandemic is that nor the robustness or the scalability helped in overcoming what happened in this period. Why? Because one additional criteria was missing. That is the agility. So we have, as of today, we have extremely reliable infrastructure, able to cater with any load. At the moment, we don't have the flexibility to deliver the services from wherever we are, considering our customers are adapted very rapidly. The entire exercise become a little bit more complicated. So agility is the new business continuity for us, what we learned.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Vittorio. How are businesses having to consider the need for software-defined infrastructure in their wider hybrid cloud strategies?
So software-defined infrastructure, first of all, what is software-defined infrastructure and what is the context we are working with? Now, in our region, we had a unique challenge, and sometimes challenges are opportunities. Now, the cloud adoption in other parts of the world started way before than in our region. Now, what we saw here is that many of the cloud providers finally arrived in our region. And when did they arrive? In the moment that the pandemic hit us. So we had the cloud disruption on one side and the pandemic on the other side. Now, what is a software-defined infrastructure? It's a way to decouple the physical infrastructure from the user, adding a middle layer of provisioning in order to make everything more flexible and agile. Now, what we see is that the cloud adoption is rapidly growing in our region. But how it is growing? Are we noticing customers that are moving completely to the cloud? Not really. They are beginning to move some workload. They are beginning to move some application. They are, in many cases, they are beginning to move part of the application. They begin to move maybe the front end to the cloud and keeping the data safe in their own data center. Now, All of this has accelerated what the industry called hybrid cloud, where let's see it as a distributed data center, where our workload are spread, can be spread in on different premises, on different things. Now, how to handle all of this? The hybrid cloud story and the software-defined infrastructure is there to help.
Perfect, thank you. And what benefits do software-defined storage and software-defined networks bring?
Again, the key is separating the physical infrastructure from the way we provision the infrastructure. And this is the lesson we learned the hard way in this part of the world by the lack of flexibility. We noticed we had experiences of customers that have their own fantastic data center, properly built, super reliable, super secure. And the moment we were all obliged to work from home, in some cases they couldn't access it. They couldn't operate on it because it was built in the traditional way. Now, so the key is again flexibility. The key is preparing for a multi-cloud world where we could have our workload spread between our own private data center and maybe one or more cloud data center, where the key criteria is to have most likely in the three data centers there will be three different set of infrastructure, maybe built not necessarily in the same way. What is necessary is to have a common way to provision and interact with the infrastructure through a single pane of glass.
And what are some of the specific challenges here in the region? How do GCC organizations need to think about developing an infrastructure strategy?
Well, look, I see that our CIOs, they are having a role that is even more important than ever. Now, the customer we interact with, they are more ahead in their digital transformation journey, are definitely the one that first, they have a plan. Mm-hmm. They have a plan. And what do I mean by having a plan is, plan is not how to survive. Plan is how to grow. Plan is how to move. Plan is how to accelerate the digital transformation. Pandemics accelerated digital transformation, the 10x for 10x factor. Now, yes, you need to have a plan. Then how do you translate this plan? It's all about the applications and the way we deliver this application. Now, begin to check your workloads. There are workloads that are not ready to be hybridized. Why? Because they are built in a monolithic way. Thanks God, again, the technology and the advancement are helping. Containers and everything, they are there to help. Make sure you begin to have a single pane of glass on how to control and monitor and operate your infrastructure, even if you didn't move to the cloud. Mm-hmm. Begin to prepare your private data center in a virtualized way, because this will facilitate big time the moment that will come for everybody where we will begin to move workloads to our data center. Check your application, if they have to be refactored, re-architected, reworked in whatever it is. And my God, let's think to security even more. Security has been central since day one. It is more central even now when the perimeter of our security changed dramatically. Identity and access more important than ever. In the past, we were used to be reasonably sure about the identity of our user, simply taking into account where they were working on. If I have an employee that is working from within my premise, the employee most likely already has a certain degree of security embedded in it. This paradigm has been completely dismissed. Data security, again, in the past, our data were, in the vast majority of the case, secure within the premises of our data center. Not true necessarily anymore. So these are the key areas, I would say, that are to be taken into account. And this is the reason why we at GBM, I like to say that we are extremely ready in everything that is related to the physical infrastructure, be it network, compute, storage, and security. We decided to put the entire digital infrastructure portfolio under one only organization to make sure that we can serve our customer at their best and to present our customer with the right consultant able to help them if they need during the entire digital transformation journey.
Thanks very much, Vittorio. On to our last question for today, and I know time's on the wing, so we'll just make this a quick one, but could you just give us an insight into how you think the pandemic will have changed the strategic priorities for CIOs in the region?
Okay, I believe that the CIO role is more central than ever. First of all, the CIO, together with the business lines, are the cornerstone to build a plan, to build a digital transformation plan. Now, the CIO is the ideal trade union between the IT function and the business function. This was true since day one, is even more true today due to the different consumption models that the business teams are pursuing. Now, which challenges? Now, the CIOs today, they even have more technology choices than ever. Again, the moment we were used to focus, as I said before, on reliability and scalability. The moment the focus moved to flexibility, the word by itself means options. Means an option means being more ready than ever. If I have to summarize the entire story in one sentence, I would say that the role of the CIO is to execute and realize on the fact that the new business continuity is based on agility.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Vittorio. I think that's pretty much everything we wanted to discuss today. I think that's a great place to leave it. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for your time and thank you for having me.